ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनच्छलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं सहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण परिष्ठाय पादाय कृष्ण परिष्ठाय श्रीमती भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषवादी पाश्चात्यवाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारणं परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्येश्वरम्। हरि ओम तत्सत्। Hare Krishna. So first of all, best wishes of Deepavali. Happy Deepavali to all of you. We are currently in the tithi of Naraka Chaturdashi, and tomorrow is the Amavasya Tithi, which is the main Deepavali Tithi, where we celebrate Damodar Puja, Lakshmi Pujan, and so on and so forth. So, wishing you all a very blessed Deepavali. And we'll discuss a little bit about Deepavali a little later. But then I was thinking that I was looking at the chapter, the fourth chapter of Canto, and actually this chapter is not a very long chapter. So I thought, might as well cover the chapter a bit quickly, and then we can discuss a little bit about Deepavali as well. So that is the plan for today. So of course I can see that today relatively the attendance is lesser because obviously devotees may be busy with the festivities, and that's understandable. So no worries. Anyway, we have the recording as well, so those who are missing the class, they can go through the recording. So we just concluded in the sixth canto the first three chapters, which is essentially the discussion of the pastime of Ajamil. Having completed that discussion, Maharaj Parikshit asked Shukadev Goswami that earlier in the third, fourth cantos, you were discussing about how the living entities were populated within this world, the process of Visarga. And at that time, didn't continue that topic all the way forward. So you were mentioning last time about King Prachina Barhi, how Narad Muni reached to him, how he gave up his fruitive activities, he took sannyas and he went to the forest. Meanwhile, his sons, the Prachetas, the 10 Prachetas, the sons of Prachina Barhi, they went away to the forest to perform austerities. Of course, they met Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva taught them beautiful Rudra Gita, and they went into the water, the ocean, to perform austerities. Please tell us more. We want to understand how the population of the world expanded through these various great personalities. So Shukdev Goswami is continuing that particular story. So this is a continuation of the descendants of Dhruva Maharaj from Uttanapad, Dhruva, and many other generations. We discussed them earlier. The fourth canto, and then Priyavrat Maharaj in the fifth canto. So we discussed a bit about King Prachina Barhi. I think you may recollect briefly how he was extremely fond of ritualistic ceremonies. Then eventually Narad Muni, through a very elaborate allegory, brought him back to his senses and made him understand that ritualistic activities are not the actual path to real auspiciousness. The sons of Maharaj Prachina Barhi, who are famous as the Prachetas, they performed very severe austerities because their father, King Prachina Barhi, even though he was materially attached initially, of course, later he became detached by the grace of Narad Muni and he renounced and eventually attained perfection. But he had instructed his sons to become qualified to produce good quality progeny, being a Prajapati himself. So the 10 sons, the Prachetas, they performed very, very severe austerities. In fact, they were inside the waters. So after their austerities were over, for many, many years, I think it was thousands of years, they ultimately emerged from the waters. So when they emerged from the waters and came back on the land, the surprise of the Prachetas, the entire planet was covered with trees. There was this forest, dense forest everywhere, and they were shocked. How come there is so much dense forest? What happened to all the cities and the farms and all these things? So what had happened essentially was that King Prachina Barhi had renounced and gone to the forest. The Prachetas were performing austerities. There was no proper king to organize the kingdom and to properly manage the affairs of the earth. So because of this organization, practically the earth had become covered over with forest and there was hardly any farming and vegetation and cultivation going. So when they saw this, the Prachetas, they were very, very upset. And rather than properly understanding the cause of why what had happened, they became actually extremely angry with the trees. So this is the nature of anger. Sometimes when we become suddenly angry, we use discrimination as to understand what exactly is actually, who's actually responsible for this situation. So they just saw the immediate cause of their frustration. Trees. These trees are covering all the land, and we cannot even walk into the land. It is so dense. So because they were so powerful through their yogic power, they produced wind and fire, and they started burning all the forests. This from their mouths, these Prachetas generated a fire which was burning everything. So Soma, the moon god, he became concerned. What is this? The Prachetas are burning away all the trees. And Soma, moon god, is also in charge of vegetation. It's the Devata in charge of vegetation. So he felt great sympathy for the trees that, what is their fault? And as the maintainer of the herbs and trees, he appeared in front of the Prachetas and tried to pacify them. He said, why you are doing all this? Why are you burning these poor trees? You are supposed to be the kings. And as the kings of the land, not only are the humans your praja, but the animals and even the trees are your praja. Your Prajapati is right, and praja is not just about human population. It's about all living entities. So why are you destroying your own praja? And for what? What is their fault? And if you burn all these trees and vegetation, how is life going to prosper in your kingdom? So trees and vegetation are so essential because from there will come the fruits and the flowers, and the animals feed on the vegetation, and the higher animals feed on the lower animals. And there is a whole ecological system which is interdependent on various forms of life. So in your anger, you're not able to see that actually you're destroying the whole system. So don't do like this. Your ancestors, they were so smart. They knew how to manage everything so properly. So control your anger. The anger that you're exhibiting is opposed to your true duty. So he gave a lot of detailed instructions. He gave a lot of examples. But net, because the Prachitas were submissive and they heard whatever Soma said, eventually to pacify them. See, this is the trick. You want to make somebody happy, sometimes it is not good enough to just give them good instructions. So it's always good, along with some good instructions, also give them some gift to please and pacify. This is uh, how relationships work in the real world. As we are just happy giving, correcting others, giving them instructions. But Soma knew that the right way to pacify them is to give them a gift that will suit their real purpose. And what was the real purpose? The real purpose was, after austerities, take on the role of Prajapatis and increase the population. So knowing their purpose, Soma offered to them a very, very beautiful girl and a very, very qualified girl by the name of Marisa. And he said that this Marisa, she's very qualified to be the wife of all of you Prachetas, and she has been raised by the forest. You have been busy in the water, but this forest are the forests who have nourished and brought up this girl. So please, all of you accept this girl as your wife. So all the 10 Prachetas accepted Marisa as their wife. So this is one of those rare examples in the scriptures where one lady is married to many husbands. Examples. So this was instructed by Soma. So there's a story behind this Marisa, and I'll mention it in brief. It is not mentioned in this chapter, but it is said that there was a sage, Kandu Muni, who was performing great austerities, and Indra, being threatened by the austerities of Kandu, sent Apsara by the name of Paramlocha. So Paramlocha successfully managed to disturb Kandu Muni, and a daughter was born to them, who is this girl Marisa. And as soon as the daughter was born, and as soon as Paramlocha had achieved her objective, she was not interested in having a family life on earth. She went to heavens, as typically Apsaras do. Their job is done. They are on a special mission, achieve their mission, and then they go back. Probably Indra rewards them with whatever for achieving their goal. So, of course, even the sage cannot blame them, because it is not a it is a willing union between the sage and the Apsara. Apsara just presents herself. The Muni, if he is not able to control his senses, is problem. So that is Indra's standard trick. Anyway, so this girl was born, and Ramlocha went, and this girl was alone in the forest. Kandu Muni also walked away, not bothering. He went back to his austerities. So it is said, Moon, Somadev, having compassion on this daughter, he said he put his finger into the mouth of this daughter. And Soma is known as the god of nourishment, and he provided her nourishment. And then it is said later, the Devatas in charge of the various trees and the forest, he said they took care of this girl, and she grew up in the forest. So practically she had no other human contact. She was nurtured, and she grew up in the forest. And when the right time came, Soma presented very well qualified, very beautiful girl, Marisa, the Prachitas. So the Prachitas were very happy also. They heeded the advice of Soma, so they stopped the burning of the forest, they accepted Marisa, they got married. And it is said, in the womb of this very qualified girl, Marisa, the Prachetas begot a child who was named Daksha. And this Daksha was the Prajapati, filled the world with living entities. Okay, so now some of you may be wondering, oh, we spoke about, this is one Daksha. We also spoke about another Daksha, who's the father of Sati. Why so many Dakshas? So just spend 2 minutes to understand this point. So actually, this Daksha who's born the Prachetas and Marisa is the same Daksha who in his previous life was the father of. So in his previous life, Daksha was born as the son of Brahma. He was not born through a union between a male and a female. He was born from the mind of Brahma, a very, very high birth. But as we all know from the past time, we discussed that earlier, he messed it up big time. By had the great fortune of Lord Shiva as his son-in-law, Sati as his daughter, but rather than taking benefit of the opportunity by committing serious offenses, he messed it up. Anyway, he also repented later, but somehow a lot of damage was done. His head got chopped off. He got the head of a goat. So big saga had happened. So we have discussed all that earlier. So it is said eventually, after all that mess happened, eventually humiliated and all this, eventually he gave up his life. Now, this particular story happened in the Swayambhuva Manvantara, the first Manvantara of this particular Kalpa. So, after that birth, the same Daksha was reborn again as the son of the Prachetas and Marisa in the Chakshusha Manvantara, 6 Manvantaras later. So, first birth was in Swayambhuva Manvantara, and then the Chakshusha Manvantara. We are in the Vaivasvat Manvantara, the previous Manvantara, Chakshusha Manvantara. He was born in. But in this time, his birth wasn't as glorious as his previous birth from Lord Brahma. Because actually, because of his offenses, he had somehow fallen down. His previous birth was that of a birth of a Brahmana, indirectly appearing from Lord Brahma's body. But now he was born to Kshatriyas. The Acharyas say that even though he achieved the birth of a Kshatriya and he achieved a gross body on earth through a physical union between the Prachetas and Marisa, still he was born in a very opulent family. Somehow Lord Shiva gave his grace and he was born in a very opulent way. So this is how the laws of karma work. He got some blessing also, he got the punishment also. So usually there are mixed results. So net is the same Daksha who got the opportunity again to continue because he had a desire to serve as a Prajapati. So he got the opportunity again in the Chakshusha Manvantara. So in this particular Manvantara, Prajapati Daksha, he was trying to do his job of being a Prajapati, but he wasn't very happy the way he was doing his job. Just like sometimes, devotees, they want to serve the Lord, but they are trying to serve, but sometimes they feel not doing enough. I'm not doing well enough. I'm not serving nicely enough. So his own seva, he was doing nicely in the consciousness of service to the Lord, but he wasn't very happy with the way the world was being populated. He was feeling, it's not going according to my plan. My project plan is to do this, populate like this. But I am terribly behind schedule and my quality is below standard. So I was thinking what to do. So great personalities, when they have problems, they know that the ultimate shelter is the Supreme Personality of God. So he went to a very holy place. There was a mountain, a very holy place known as Aghamarshana. There he performed various yajnas and he pleased the Supreme Lord, and he also performed a lot of austerities. And there it is said, with great devotion, with great sincerity, Daksha offered various prayers. And those prayers to the Lord are famous as the Hamsa Guhya prayers. So this chapter explains those prayers. I do not intend in today's class to go through the philosophical context of the prayers, but essentially he prays to the Supreme Lord as the master of the Maya and who is transcendental, who is always so affectionate to his devotees. So very beautifully he offers prayers and glorifies the path of devotional service. And when he concludes his prayers, he said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was actually very pleased. With great sincerity and with great devotion, Daksha had offered his prayers. And it is said, suddenly Lord Hari appeared in front of Daksha to give his blessings. And this time, when Lord Hari appeared in a very special 8-armed form, a very beautiful description is given in the Bhagavad. It is said at this place known as Agamarshan, Lord Vishnu appeared on the back of Garuda, his carrier. It is said the 2 lotus feet of the Lord were resting on the shoulders of Garuda. The Lord was standing with his 8 arms. Normally we see the Lord with 4 arms. But sometimes the Lord also appears with 8 arms. What are the 8 arms? Each of the arms is holding a particular anga. So obviously the four angas we know, Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, which are common. So those were there. In addition to that, one hand had a sword, one hand had a shield, one hand has a bow, and one hand has an arrow. So 8 arms like that. Beautiful. Yellow silken clothes, Kaustuba Mani, Vaijayanti garland, very beautiful, darkish complexion, very beautiful, transcendental form. And when suddenly the Lord appeared in front of Daksha, this happened on earth. Happened on, appeared in front of Daksha. Daksha was, for a moment, it is said he became fearful. Because the Lord's influence is so extraordinary. It is said when the Lord appeared, there was effulgence in all directions. He was surrounded by various devatas and great sages and personalities who were also with folded hands offering various prayers to him. So it was an overwhelming vision. And then he regained his composure, being temporarily overwhelmed and fearful of that divine darshan. And then he fell down on the full dandavat to the Lord. And with great devotion, he remained on the ground. He wanted to offer prayers, but he was so overwhelmed, he didn't know what to speak. Correct? So sometimes, we also think, I want to see the Lord, I want to. But when the Lord, if at all, and whenever it happens, if he appears in front of us, so many devotees become so overwhelmed. So even though he was not able to speak and say anything, the Lord, of course, being the Antaryami, knew exactly what was in the heart of Daksha. And ultimately what Daksha wanted was to serve the Lord by increasing the population. Of course, Daksha also deep down in his heart had a desire to enjoy the material energy. So those who are Mishra Bhaktas, they have material desires. They also want to serve the Lord. So they try to engage. So this is the Karma Yoga. Try to engage their material propensities in the service of the Lord. In that way, they gradually purify themselves and eventually come to a transcendence. So the Lord glorified Daksha, performing such severe austerities and ultimately for the purpose of the welfare of everyone, the growth of the world according to my desire. It is my desire, Lord Vishnu says, the whole world be happy. So this is very important. The Lord doesn't desire that anybody suffer. It is painful for the Lord, even when living entities suffer because of their own karmas. It is painful. It is not something pleasurable. Lord wants everybody to be happy. Sarve sukhina santu, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma pashyantu. He said, I'm very pleased with you because you are working for the welfare of everyone. You are fulfilling my desire for the whole world. All the other devatas are also engaged in fulfilling my desire. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the other Prajapatis also. They're working for increasing the population of the whole world. Actually, all of you personalities, the devatas and all the Prajapatis are actually the expansions of my material qualities, my qualitative expansions. You are my empowered representatives in this world. So, I give you my blessing that you want to produce progeny and continue to serve me like that. So, I'm going to offer to you a very, very special qualified lady by the name of Asikni. So, this girl Asikni is very, very suitable for you, and you please accept her as your wife. And now you're on earth, so you cannot be producing children by your mind. So, both of you get married, and like a husband and wife come together and beget progeny. In that manner, you should also come together, and through your union, be able to beget hundreds and hundreds of children in the womb of this girl, Asikni, and in that way, can be able to populate. And I am giving you this kind of blessing that you will have such extraordinary power to procreate that hundreds and thousands of children you will be able to produce. But just like you are captivated by my illusory energy, your children will also be influenced by the illusory energy. But nonetheless, all of you will still be in the path of dharma. You have to make sure you remain in my devotional service and continue to offer to me whatever you are doing. Yat karoshi, yad ashnashi, yad juhosi, tadasi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat purusham. So it's okay if we are not fully purified, we are still attracted to act in a particular way, influenced by the modes of material nature, but at least dedicate those actions in the service of the Lord. That way we engage in devotion. So he said, take that path. You are also still attached to material enjoyment. You also need to gradually purify yourself, and your children will also be such. But you want to serve me in this way. So I am blessing you with the required abilities and potencies so that you can fulfill both your material and spiritual needs. So after saying like that, he said, suddenly Lord Vishnu, after giving his blessings, disappeared. It was like a huge vision which was there, expansive vision, and suddenly the whole thing disappeared. It said as if it seemed like, Daksha saw that whole thing in a dream. It seemed as if, because, he suddenly saw and then suddenly nothing. Now, of course, he didn't see it in a dream. He actually, the Lord gave darshan. But in this manner, being blessed by Lord Hari, Daksha was given the power. So, Daksha means expert. And Prabhupada in the purport says, Daksha was expert in producing children. And that was his desire also. He wanted also to enjoy. So in that way, the Lord also, according to the tendencies of the living entities and their devotion and their desires, Lord blesses. Anor aniyam mahato mahiyam. Krishna is situated in everybody's heart, and he is eko bahunam yo vidadati kama. He is the one who is fulfilling the desires of all living. Material, spiritual, mixed. Exclusive spiritual desire is a very, very rare attainment. Generally, living entities, because many times we like to think of ourselves as pure devotees. Actually, the reality is, at least most of us, I don't know about you all, at least as far as I am concerned, still very far from pure devotion. even though that is our conscious endeavor, because we are still so influenced by the modes of material nature. So oftentimes mixed desires. That is why, we are still not experiencing the full bliss of Krishna consciousness. We are still mixed. We want Krishna also, and we want this also. So it's like you want medicine also, and you want to also continue to do all the things which also cause your disease. So we are that kind of mixed. That's why we don't get the full result. We want Vishaya. Vishaya means wish, poison. And at the same time, we want Amrita of Krishna consciousness. We're drinking Visha and we're taking Amrita. Visha. So anyway, but gradually, continued practice of Krishna consciousness, eventually the snake of the material senses, the fangs get broken, poisonous fangs. And gradually the heart will become, if one follows the path of dharma, even if one enjoys, eventually one will become detached. That's why it is said, even if one wants to enjoy, deviate from the path of dharma. Get properly married, engage in an honest profession, do your duty properly, and along with that practice the path of sadhana bhakti, do dana, tapa, yajna in a Krishna conscious spirit. And in due course, you will eventually realize, oh, why I was wasting all this time in all this useless material pursuits. So that realization comes gradually for those who, with dharma, practice the path of sadhana under the shelter of bona fide devotees. So most of us are more or less in that situation. So these lessons are not, sometimes we are very eager to judge Daksha and Indra and others. Oftentimes we don't realize they are so much better than what we are today. So we have to learn from them. And how the Lord is also so accommodative. He's always encouraging and blessing and gradually helping all living entities to continue serving Him in whatever situation they are, and gradually coming up to the point of your devotional service. So I'm going to conclude. The chapter is concluded. I didn't go through the philosophical presentation of the Hamsa Guhya. You can read that. But also since today is a wonderful occasion of Deepavali, so I thought we'll discuss a little bit about that as well. So if you have any questions, we can take at the end class, and we'll discuss a little bit about Deepavali. So I discuss this every Deepavali. So I've been attending my classes for a long time. This maybe just be a revision, but nonetheless, is very purifying. So we are in a very special month, the month of Kartik, and the highlight of Kartik is the Deepavali festival. So while Deepavali festival, the main festival, the scriptures say, which is the Deepavali. Deepavali means a row of lamps. The Deepavali is actually tomorrow, the Amavasya Tithi. So that is the main day. Even though in South India, sometimes some people celebrate the Chaturdashi as the main Deepavali, but the Shastras say the main Deepavali festival is on Amavasya day. Now, why? Because the whole reason that the Deepavali came about is because Lord Ramchandra came back on the Amavasya day on the Pushpaka Viman back to Ayodhya at night. The whole city of Ayodhya was beautifully decorated with lamps. Somehow by the wish of the Lord and by the effort of the Indian government, both the local and central, now Ayodhya is being restored to its glory. I read a news I posted in the group. They are planning to decorate Ayodhya with 24 lakh lamps tomorrow. I don't know whether it's tonight or tomorrow. They are planning 24 lakh lamps. So this is very wonderful. All our dhams must be centers of devotion, centers of learning, centers of pilgrimage. So this is nice. So hopefully when Shri Ramchandraji's worship is re-established properly in Ayodhya, we hope one day we all can go there, take darshan, take bath in the Sharayu river, and also take the wonderful blessings of Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. They are also so much our Aradhya. Krishna and Ram are not different. The same personality in different forms. Krishna, even though he's Purna Purushottam, is the full manifestation of the full independent Lord, as far as the person is concerned, it's the same person in two different forms. So we do not lose sight of this particular principle. So, obviously, the day of Deepavali, the main day of Amavasya, we are all very familiar because this is the story. Bharat was waiting, Bharat Maharaj, such a beautiful story. Lord Ramchandra was in Vanvas, but Bharat Maharaj, even though he was ruling the kingdom, he was staying outside. He was not staying in the palace. He was also wearing tree bark. He was staying outside in a place known as Nandigram, outside Ayodhya. He was staying, I think, in a cow shed or something. All he ate for 14 years was barley soaked in cow urine. We cannot even have that for one meal. He had that for 14 years. And he was ruling the kingdom, keeping the Paduka of Ramchandra. Bharat Maharaj's example is, when the Lord comes with his associates, their examples is such that, it will just make our head spin. We cannot even do it for 1 hour. If we do it for 1 hour, we'll die. So, anyway, so Bharat Maharaj had vowed that if Lord Ramchandra doesn't come exactly after 14 years, he will enter fire. So Lord Ram was in a great hurry. That's why he took the night flight. He didn't even wait until next day morning. So we don't have a lot of time, but it is said, Lord Ram told Hanuman, you go forward. The Pushpak Viman is not fast enough. You go ahead. And Hanuman flew and Pushpak was coming from behind. So Hanuman's speed is faster. So Hanuman was great speed going towards Ayodhya, and it is said Bharat Maharaj was just about to enter fire. 14 years were just about to get over. And Hanuman realized, I also cannot reach on time. So as he was still about to reach, he loudly chanted, Ram is coming. So the sound of Hanuman reached before Hanuman reached. Bharat was about to jump and he stopped. So anyway, it's a very beautiful pastime. So, and everybody decorated Ayodhya very, very beautifully. So Ramchandra coming to Ayodhya back is such a celebration. We cannot even imagine. So that is the mood of Deepavali. How we welcome the Lord ultimately into our heart. So this whole offering of lamb, beautiful song. Mama Manna Mandire Raho Nishidina Krishna Murari. Bhakti Preeti Mala Chandan. So we are offering our heart as a lamb. And we want to invite the Lord ultimately into our hearts. So that is the spirit. Actually, that is the spirit not just of Deepavali, but for that matter, any festival. Because the whole idea is to attract the Lord into our heart. If we just become busy with the murukku and the gulab jamun and talking this and that with our family, and we lose sight of, we just make it a social event, we lose the whole plot. The whole purpose is we want to invite the Lord. And that is the same principle that we are observing for Lord Damodar, isn't it? We are meditating on this extraordinary devotion of Mother Yashoda, and we are contemplating and we are hoping and praying that we develop this kind of an attachment for them. We are seeking the blessings of the Lord. So anyway, so that is the Amavasya Tithi. Very, very glorious Tithi. So while that is most popular, actually the entire festivity of Deepavali spreads over 4 or 5 days. So it is a set of various observances. Each different, but they happen to come together. These happen to come together. So I'll just briefly mention about all of them. There are pastimes and stories of each, but we may not have time for that. In the month of Kartik, in the first fortnight, begins with Purnima and ends with Amavasya. So this is the Amavasya which is coming tomorrow. So in the first fortnight, on the 12th day, it's known as the Govatsa Dwadashi. There was Ekadashi, which we celebrated Rama Ekadashi from days ago. The next day, the Dwadashi is known as Govatsa Dwadashi. So it is, even though this festivity is not known very popularly, so it is said that this is the day that the cows and the calves should be worshipped. So that is the observation. So we also arranged for some seva to the cows in Vrindavan 2 days ago. So on the occasion of Govatsa Dwadashi, some cows in Vrindavan were served. Next day after Govatsa Dwadashi is Trayodashi, which is Dhanatrayodashi. As soon as people hear the word Dhana, people become very excited. And there is, line outside jewelry shops to buy silver coin, gold coin, and all that is okay. I mean, no complaints. It is better to do that than to do other nonsense things. But Dhanatrayadashi is not just about Dhana. It is about Dhanvantari. It is the appearance of Dhanvantari, Lord Dhanvantari, who is the incarnation. He is an incarnation of the Lord, who is the deity in charge of Ayurveda, the science of medicine. So it is said he appeared from the milk ocean. The churning of the milk ocean happened, holding the Kalasha of Amrita. So that is the Dhanatrayadashi. The next day after Dhanatrayadashi is Chaturdashi. So this Chaturdashi is often known as Naraka Chaturdashi. So Naraka Chaturdashi, it seems to be odd. How come Naraka or hell is a festivity? So the name Naraka Chaturdashi comes because a demon known as Narakasura, whose name is actually Bhaumasura, was killed by Krishna when the Lord appeared 5,000 years ago. So that occasion is celebrated as Naraka Chaturdashi. So that's an elaborate pastime. I'll just mention very briefly. It's a very elaborate pastime. And by the way, we are in that tithi right now. It is auspicious to recollect that beautiful pastime. So briefly, this particular Asura, Narakasura, who became later famous as Narakasura, but originally he was known as Bhauma. Why Bhauma? Because he was the son of Bhumi Devi. Earth, Mother Earth, he was the son of Bhumi Devi. Bhumi Devi was blessed with a son when the Lord appeared long back, the Chakshusha Manvantara, and he lifted the earth. The earth, Bhudevi, is actually also an eternal consort of the Lord. So she was blessed with this son who is known as Bhauma, and Bhauma being the son of the Lord, very, very powerful. But then somehow he fell into bad association. This is the power of bad association. Good people become spoiled. Just like association can transform sinful people to saintly people, it can also make saintly people sinful if the association is with the wrong, in the opposite direction. We discussed this about Kala Krishnadas also recently in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal servant. All the time with him, exclusive, 24 hours a day. He became a little inattentive and associated with the Bhattathari women. And he gave up Lord Chaitanya's association and went with them in their camp. Then Lord Chaitanya had to save him and bring him back. So Maya is very, very powerful. So Bhauma took association of some of the very Asuric people and he became very demonic. He became a big nuisance to the world. And this Bhaumasura, he later became known as an Asura because of his deeds. He was especially notorious because he would capture various princesses and imprison them. He wanted to enjoy all the beautiful girls and he had imprisoned many of them. So anyway, so to cut a long story short, when he went to the point of offending Mother Aditi, the Lord decided this is too much. I must fix this. Even though he's my son, ultimately everybody is my children. So it doesn't matter, my Leela, son, no son, everybody is my children. So, ultimately those who are my devotees, I have to protect. So the Lord decided to uh, attack him. So the Lord called for Garuda, and he was about to sit on Garuda. At the same time, Satyabhama Devi came. Lord Krishna said, "Where are you going?" Oh, the Devatas have appealed to me. This Bhaumasur is creating havoc. Now, Satyabhama is an incarnation of Bhumi Devi. Satyabhama knows that he's actually her son. Satyabhama says, no, you take me with you. I don't want any, I want to supervise what is going to happen. So Bhauma had a very special blessing, and that is why he was pretty invincible. It is said that Satyabhama or Bhumi Devi had asked the Lord for a blessing that unless I give you permission to kill Bhauma, you should not kill him. So Lord is always very smart. So he took Satyabhama with him. So Satyabhama is Bhumi Devi. So anyway, they went on the back of Garuda, and then a very interesting, challenging fight happened. And Lord Krishna acted in such a way that Bhauma, when he was throwing various astras at Krishna, the astras are just missing Krishna, going close by. And Satyabhama was not giving Krishna any permission. And Krishna was waiting. Krishna didn't ask her for permission. Krishna was just fighting and making it appear as a very dangerous situation. Until the point that Satyabhama thought that, oh, Krishna's life is in danger. Satyabhama told Krishna, what are you doing? Immediately kill him. He's putting your life in danger. I mean, out of her affection. Obviously, Krishna's life cannot be in danger. So Krishna was just waiting for that. Go ahead. Instantly, before Satyabhama could change her mind, Narakasur head was chopped off. So that particular episode happened on this day, and that is also another auspicious celebration. It's also in that sense the victory of good over evil, also of how Naraka was killed. Naraka represents lust, sinful behavior. So ultimately, the lesson also is that no matter who we are, if we become a nuisance to society, a trouble for the sadhus, we will be vanquished. And we have seen this again and again throughout scriptures, throughout various pastimes. So let us offer our obeisances to Dwarkadhish and Satyabhama Devi, who on this auspicious day performed these beautiful pastimes. So may they also destroy in our heart the Narkasura propensities. And may we also learn from that lesson that we do not allow ourselves to be degraded like what Narkasura allowed himself to be degraded. We also be careful, make sure that we do not give up the association of saintly people. That's very important. Prabhupada would often say, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also in his pastimes, that no matter what happens, no matter how fallen we are, what mistakes we do, what happens in our life, somehow don't offend devotees and remain in the association of devotees. Then we will eventually be saved. Sooner or later, depending on our specific situation. But when we go away and start associating with sinful, materialistic people, then actually we create a very dangerous situation for ourselves. So that is Naraka Chaturdashi. And then there is Deepavali tomorrow. Deepavali also day is also Lakshmi Pujan. It is said Lakshmi Pujan is the day when Goddess Lakshmi emerged from the milk ocean, also churning. So Dhanvantari appeared, later Lakshmi Devi appeared. couple of days later. So she emerged. That's also a very beautiful pastime. She emerged and everybody was excited. All the devatas, such a beautiful lady, so qualified. And she was holding a garland, Varmala in her hand. So everybody lined up. Lakshmi Devi looked around and everybody else was interested. Vishnu was the only person detached. He is Apta Kama. He is completely self-satisfied. She, of course, she is the eternal consort of the Lord. But in this Leela, she performed the manifest pastime of accepting Lord Hari as her husband. So we also seek her blessings, both spiritually and materially, that we may find happiness and prosperity, materially and spiritually, so that we can continue to progress. So we are not against material prosperity. We just don't want material prosperity to come in the way of spiritual prosperity. So if we manage our lives well, if we remain on the path of dharma, if we engage our dharmically earned wealth nicely in the service of the Lord, of the devotees, then there is no prohibition for grahasthas earn wealth and to even become wealthy for that matter. That is not a matter of concern. What our concern is that we do not develop the Ravan-like mentality, Arkasur-like mentality. That is very. As long as Lakshmi is engaged in the service of Narayan, everything is auspicious. Otherwise, Lakshmi always becomes Chanchala. And those who desire Lakshmi without wanting Narayan or wanting to engage her in the service of Narayan, that mentality is the mentality of Ravana. And we know what happened to him. We know what happened to Narkasura. So after the Amavasya Tithi, the next day is the next fortnight, which is the Pratipada Tithi, the first day of the Shukla Paksha. So the Shukla Paksha Pratipada, first day, is also celebrated as a new year, as a Padwa in many places. It's also known as Bali Pratipada. It's also the day on which Bali Maharaj received the blessings of Vamana Dev. It is also celebrated as Govardhan Puja. So various auspicious occasions. That's the day when the Lord lifted the Govardhan hill. So it's a very packed festival series. So on Tuesday we are celebrating here in KL in the temple. If you are here, then join the Govardhan Puja. And then there is the Yamadvitiya, which is celebrated as also the Bhai Dooj or the Bhau Beej that we call in Maharashtra, where the brother and sister meet and the sister welcomes the brother and full ritual around that. So that is a commemoration of Yamaraj visiting Yamuna Devi. Yamaraj and Yamuna are brother and sister, in case you are not aware. They are both siblings. They are children of Surya Dev. Yamaraj also is the son of Surya. Yamuna is the daughter of Surya Dev. So Yamaraj is usually very busy. You know for what reason. We discussed about his Yamaduta and his Yamaduta department last few classes. So he takes time off once a year and comes to visit his sister once, Yamuna, at Vishram Ghat in Mathura. So it is said, whoever comes to Vishram Ghat on the day of Yamadvitiya, takes a bath at Vishram Ghat, never sees Yamaraj again. So that is something which, of course, you all do not need to do that. You will not see Yamaraj any day because of your devotional service. But that's one more option. Avoid Yamaraj encounter. I not knowingly accidentally took bath on Yamadvitiya day at Vishramghat without even knowing about this. Then somebody, and it was not even in the plan. I was just walking by and somehow somebody called me. I went there, I took bath, all unplanned. And then later I found out that it was Yamadvitiya and this blessing was there. So I have double insurance. So anyway, so that is the glory of Yamadvitiya. So in this way, it's a very packed festivity starting from the Dwadashi, Vatsa Dwadashi, which is also known as Vasu Baras, parts of India. Then Dhanatrayodashi, Narak Chaturdashi, Deepavali, Bali Pratipada or Govardhan Puja, and Yamadvitiya. So these 5-6 days. So it's a very packed festivity. So every day there is a beautiful contemplation. All these contemplations are nourishing our devotional service, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, tomorrow for us is the main day. It's the main day because it is Lord Ramchandra's homecoming, one. And second is also Damodar Puja. Because that is the day the Damodar Leela happened. Remember? On the day of Deepavali, Mother Yashoda was churning. That's how the pastime starts. So I hope all of you are enthusiastically celebrating and offering lamps. Also hope that all of you are enthusiastically engaging others in offering lamps. We had a program in our home around 30 individuals came to our home and had a Damodar Puja and had lunch prasad 2 days ago. Today some guests had come, so whenever guests come, we try to take them to the altar and get them to also offer lamps. So whatever way we can engage others, and usually nobody says no. So there's come, see there's a puja, you can offer lamp. I can just briefly explain. I don't have to give a long class. Said the month of Kartik is very auspicious. Would you like to also come and offer lamp? Speak a few words, just get them to offer. That's all. Very simple. In that way, they'll gather the Sukruti. So maybe somehow somebody engaged us, either previously in this lifetime or in earlier lifetimes, that we gathered the Sukruti and eventually got enough faith to adopt path of devotional service. So like others have created our good fortune, let us also repay back by being instruments in creating good fortune for others. And that seva will be very, very much appreciated. Krishna appreciates this service very much. Introducing others to Krishna consciousness, also helping and inspiring devotees in Krishna consciousness. Sevas are very, very dear. In the Lord's own words, the Bhagavad Gita and elsewhere. So it's around 10 p.m. I know it is Diwali feast, festivities, so I don't want to take a lot of time. Thank you. You all took time. So many of you attended. Most of the regular ones have attended. So I would like to wish you again a very, very happy Deepavali. We'll sing the Damodar Ashtaka. And then, we can take any questions. If some of you want to drop off because you're busy with other celebrations or other activities, I'll understand that. If you wish to stay back and continue the Damodar Ashtaka and any question answers, then I'm happy to be of service. Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasatakundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashodabhiyolukhaladavamanam Param Rishtamatayanta To Dritya Gopya Danta Muhurnetram Yugmam Rijantam Taram Bhoja Yugamena Satankanitram Muhushwasakam Patri Rekhanka Kantha Stita Graivam Damodaram Bhakti Badham Iti driksvalilabhiranandakunde swagosham nimajantam akyapayantam tadiyeshi tadneshu bhaktairjitatvam punaha prematastam shatavritti vande Varam deva moksham ma moksham vadim va nachanyam vrineham vareshadapiha idam teva purnatha gopala balam sada me manasi avirastam pimanyai idam te mukhambojam matyantanilay Vritam kuntalaisnigdharaktaischa gupya Muhuschumbitam bimbaraktadharam me Manasya avirastam malam lakshalabhai Namo deva damodara ananta vishno Prasida prabho dukha jalabhimagnam Kripa drishti vrishyati dinam batanu Ruhani shama magyam nidhyakshi drishya Veratmajau baddha murtyai vayadva Gaya mochitau bhakti bhajau kritau cha Tata prema bhaktim swakam me prayacha Namokshi graho mesti damodareha Namaste studamne suradipti damne Vadiyodharaya tha vishvasya dhamne Namo radhikayai twadiyai priyayai Namo nantalilaya devaya tubhyam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Shri Radha Damodar Bhagavan ki जय नरक चतुर्दशी महोत्सव की जय दीपावली महोत्सव श्याम राम की जय कार्तिक मास की जय सामवेद गौर भक्त जय एनी क्वेश्चंस comments yes Suresh Prabhu Hare Krishna
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, two questions.
yeah
What exactly is Vairagya when it comes in spiritual context, Prabhu?
the definition of Vairagya in the spiritual context is to see everything as Krishna's property and use everything in his service. So in the that is the definition Rupa Goswami gives of Yukta Vairagya. See, Vairagya literally means renunciation. Correct? Literally means renunciation. So people think I have to give up. Yes, at one level one has to give up. But then one may ask a question. Somebody says, oh, I gave up all my wealth. The question will come, was the wealth really yours in the first place that you gave it up? So, yeah, at one level, initially one may have the thinking about giving up, but a higher understanding of Vairagya is not simply about giving things away, but to understand that ultimately it doesn't belong to me anyways. Everything belongs to the Lord.
Yeah.
So for us, as grahasthas, obviously, we have a home, we have a family, we have bank account, we have investments. So what is vairagya for us? Vairagya for us is recognizing that all that we have is actually Krishna's property. Manasa deho geho jo kichu more. Arpilu tu apadenanda. Actually, it is Lord's. It is in my custody to be used in His service. And that service includes taking care materially as well as spiritually, those who are under our care, whether it be our family, children, and whoever else. Trees, cows, pets, whoever is under our care and shelter. So Yukta Vairagya ultimately means engaging everything in Krishna's service, not having the sense of ownership or proprietorship, giving up the sense of proprietorship and engaging everything in Krishna's service.
Prabhuji, so detachment is also a part of it.
How will you be attached when you understand everything belongs to Krishna? So what is ultimately detachment? Detachment, I may just take money from my pocket and keep it away and say I'm detached. But what is actually detachment? Am I actually in my heart detached from the money? I can give it away. Am I actually detached? So real detachment at an external level, detachment means not being eager to enjoy something and be willing to keep away from it or not being attracted to it. But a higher understanding is that that thing was anyway never meant for my enjoyment.
Yeah.
It was meant for Krishna. It is Krishna's property meant for Krishna's enjoyment. Not only is that thing meant for Krishna's enjoyment, even I am meant for Krishna's enjoyment. So I have to offer myself also into His service. You see, so that is the conclusion of the principle of Vairagya.
Yeah. Yeah, bro.
So the ultimate vision that we are aspiring to develop is to understand everything belongs to Krishna and everything is meant for Krishna's service. That is the vision. And within that vision, Vairagya is automatically achieved.
Yeah. Prabhuji, the second question. Lord Ramchandra is Maryada Purushottam and Lord Krishna is Purna Purushottam. So, in both the case, the 64 qualities are there, and in Ramchandra Bhagavan, it is not fully exhibited. How is it, Prabhu?
Yeah. So only Krishna exhibits 64. So all other expansions and incarnations exhibit up to 60. So Krishna's flute, Krishna's loving dealings, the kind of loving dealings Krishna has with the residents of Vrindavan, that level of loving dealings we will not find even in Ayodhya.
Okay.
And the other qualities also. So even though Ramchandra is God and Ramchandra is also unparalleled in his beauty, in terms of power, in one sense, Ramchandra and Krishna Chandra are not different. But in terms of the rasa, Krishna Chandra is manifesting the full rasa. See, in Ram Leela, when Ramchandra was approached by the sages of Dandakaranya forest, and he was in the Vanvas, they came to him and said that, you are Purushottam, you are so attractive, you are the supreme person. We all want to serve you in the mood of Madhurya Ras, want to become your consorts. Sages, you want to become your consorts. The Lord said that, in this manifestation as Ramchandra, I am Ek Patni Vrat, I am Maryada Purushottam. But in my original form as Krishna Chandra, I exhibit my unlimitedness always. So the Lord blessed them to become gopis in the next life. And those who were purified enough, they became gopis in Braj. They got a chance to serve the Lord in the Madhurya Ras. Or some
Prabhu,
of them also got the opportunity to be consorts of the Lord in Dwarka, for example.
So the four qualities are concealed in Lord Ramchandra. It is not
You
exhibited.
can say like that. You can say like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it's the same God. So Prabhupada explains it like this in some purpose. I don't remember exactly where. So the Lord decides to what extent he wants to manifest his qualities in various forms.
Yeah.
So is it that if Lord Ramchandra appears in front of us, that if Ramchandra so desires, can he not transform himself into Krishna Chandra? Of course he can.
Good.
So, but he doesn't mix the Leelas. There's Krishna Leela, Sita Devi will not come into Vraj and, dance with Krishna. All that rasabas doesn't happen. He has particular rasas and particular Leelas, so he manifests that. So,
Yeah,
so we don't think, oh, this is a lesser God. Don't think of it like that. That is not a very proper understanding. It's the same God, but the same Lord manifests his fullness into different proportions in different manifestations. Krishna is the most complete and full manifestation. That's why he's considered original. So we say original because he's the full manifestation in that sense. At the same time, all forms of the Lord are eternal also. You see, it is not that, then after one point in time, one came out. And we may explain it in a simplistic way like that. Because we are bound by time and space. All the forms of the Lord are eternally exist. But because the qualities are fully manifested, that is why he is considered the most complete original. Because only from the most complete original subsets can come, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, Prabhu, it's clear. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
So when Hanuman sees Krishna, this is my Ramchandra who has taken the form of Krishna.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
So if even if Lord Narayana appears, if he wants to transform into Krishna, can he not?
Yes.
Yeah. Whether he'll do that or not, I don't know. Krishna has taken form of Narayana at certain times. Yeah, in Braj Leela. Correct? In the gopis, to cheat the gopis, he suddenly transformed into Narayan.
Yeah.
Where is Krishna? We don't want Narayan, we want Krishna. Where is he? And the gopis went in one direction. But when Radharani comes, Krishna was not able to hide his form. 2 arms of Narayan melted away. He again got converted into Shamsundar.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So, thank you all very much. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki. Jai. Thank you. Have a blessed Deepavali.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Happy Diwali, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Happy
Prabhu.
Diwali.
Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Happy
you.
Diwali
So
to everybody.
please observe Diwali in a very nice, jubilant manner and spread joy and happiness all around your own family, in your circles.